everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Inside Out at Knollwood. We've got a special program today where we're going to have you meet some new residents at Knollwood. First, I'm going to get rid of this screen thing. Annoying. And with me today, for those of you who've met previous residents at Knollwood, but with me today are Barbara and Harry Delaney. They're new to Knollwood, and some people move to Knollwood from near, and some people move from far, and some people move from even farther. But Harry and Barbara came from semi-far.
Right.
So and you came from what town were you in?
Well, it's really, we usually say we're from New York because we're really from Mount Vernon, but most people don't know where that is. So and since we live only about 20 minutes north of New York City, we just say New York. We're from New York.
Okay. So let's have everyone, we're gonna give a little background. Harry can give his background and Barbara will give hers. And we do have some kind of little guiding topics we're gonna talk about, but as you're watching the program, please feel free to either type in your questions. You can either use the Q&A, which is at the bottom of your screen. If you take your mouse and hover along the bottom edge of your screen, you'll see a Q&A, and you can click on that and key it in, or hover your mouse also along the bottom of your screen until you see the chat. And when you see the chat, that's another place you can key in a question. And we'll take your questions as they come up. So first, let's do ladies first. Barbara, let's hear your background a little bit.
How far back?
Well, I know where were you born? How much did you weigh at birth? And what, you know, and you're an artist too.
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri, but I don't remember anything about St. Louis because my parents moved to New York when I was still an infant, basically. So I consider myself a New Yorker. Now I'm a Washingtonian. I guess I have to say that now,
Yes.
right? I was brought up on Long Island in Queens in New York. And fast forward, went to Cornell University where I studied fine arts. Married Harry Delaney, had 3 children, a daughter and 2 sons. Actually, our daughter lives only 10 minutes from here. That's another whole story.
Yeah.
I retired from my day job in 2000, where I was employed at Montefiore Hospital in healthcare. I was director of the recreational therapy department there for 17 years. And when I left there, I decided to go upon a second career of sorts. I went back to my artwork, which is sculpture, and have been doing that for 20 some years or more. And fast forward, time goes by, and we decided that based on everything that our daughter Brenda had been saying to us, Mom and Dad, you should come and live here in Washington because I think you would like it here and you'll be near me. And there are many nice places here where you can get healthcare if you need it, but independent if you don't, and lovely places. So come and let me show you some. Fast forward. Last summer we came to Washington and visited several places, and fast forward again, here we are at Knollwood because we found that Knollwood offered many of the things that we were looking for.
Yeah. Tell a little bit more about your art. You said you sculpt. What type of sculpture?
Let's see, there's a word, I think it's a French word, it's called assemblage. All it means really is to assemble things. So basically I make wall-based sculptures using a variety of materials, clay, wood, metal, found objects, anything I can get my hands on that I think has potential in terms of color and shape. I have our apartment here is filled with them, so you're welcome to come and see. And right now I'm trying to arrange for some space here at Knollwood where I can continue to work.
Harry, let's hear a little bit about your,
I'm a New Yorker too, but I was in New York most of my life and as a youngster. I grew up in Manhattan. I had aspirations to become a physician from early on and went to a specialized high school in New York, the Bronx High School of Science, where I could pursue my interests and ultimately attended Columbia College, Columbia University, and then the medical school at Columbia, College of Physicians and Surgeons. Subsequently, I went on to train in the Bronx at Montefiore Hospital and at Columbia University and pursued a specialty in surgery, which was what I've been doing for many, many years. But like most, as time went by, I knew that at some point I would have to give up my work, particularly with aging.
did you two meet at Montefiore?
No,
Oh.
we did not. No,
we-
when we met,
I was
you
in,
were- you were
I was
finishing-
just starting medical
entering
school.
medical school, and
And
I was
you were-
finishing college.
Yeah, so we met and dated for a number of years and married in our senior year in my medical school in Barbara's at Cornell.
Mhm.
And she was finishing fine arts there, and we subsequently have been together for many years. It was an interesting and exciting time to be in the city of New York. I had the opportunity to work in the field of injuries and trauma and that particular area. After facing retirement, we were looking, as Barbara said, at places to move. We took care of a large house, which of course became more than we needed as two people, no longer the five with our three children. And strongly encouraged by our daughter, we looked at Washington, which is, well, the nation's capital, a beautiful place.
Mhm.
And our daughter lives very close to this area, close to Rock Creek Park, which is one of the strong attractions for us. We like having a nice environment. We like the flowers. We even can see some beautiful animals in this area. So we finally made a decision after looking at the situation carefully, and now we're here.
What made you, like, why Knollwood out of other options? Like, can you pinpoint, like, or like, what was it
Well,
about Knollwood?
I'll answer that question. We were significantly influenced by our daughter, who lives very nearby. And she, of course, being a resident of Chevy Chase nearby, knew the area very well. She had a home near here, and looking around, she was aware of Knollwood and knew of the reputation of the facility and the beauty of the facility and of the park, which is very near her house. And she thought this would be an ideal location for us, particularly considering all the special services and beautiful environment, as I mentioned before.
Well, if you think back, so your move is fresh still.
Oh, yes.
The pain of moving. What do you wish you would have done differently regarding your move?
I think we did it right. No, I think seriously, I think probably we would have started downsizing a little earlier than we did because it's not easy. It's not, I think it's a major change, of course, and I think some people handle change better than others. And I think if you take into consideration there are two people, and you have a lot of things to move out, you have to persuade the one who's not ready to move, and that takes a little persuasion. And I'm talking about Harry. I shouldn't talk about him. I should say Harry was not really as in tune as I was, I think, to make the move when we made it. But he came around and decided after seeing Knollwood that this was a good place for us to be. It's beautiful. It's in a wonderful location with the city and the what would you call it? Woods, I guess, the woodland area. The people are wonderfully friendly, and it offers all of the services that I think many people need as they get older, because you can begin with being independent, but if and when the time comes when you need extra care, you need more care, Knollwood has it here, right here. So we don't have to make another move. This is where we're going to be, and we're very happy with that.
Well, let
What
me tell you,
else can you add to
change,
that?
change is difficult.
Yes,
And for some of us, it's more difficult than for others.
right.
But making the change from one environment and from one circumstance to another is a challenge, and it can be difficult. I think moving for us was a major challenge because we had been in the same place for a long time and had been living the same life for many, many years. So this changeover, the move, was difficult. Now, I have met others, in fact, I've met others here who moved frequently because of their careers. But the move for us represented a monumental change. Washington, on the other hand, has the advantage of being the nation's capital and many things to offer. And this was an attraction in addition to having relatives nearby. So there are many services available throughout the city, and the health services in this region are notable. There are medical school facilities, there are specialties available, and this is something that should be considered by anyone who's getting on with the years. We're not at that stage quite yet, but you know, as we age, as all of us age, you do realize that it's important to have medical services of high quality in reasonable proximity to where you live.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have some questions.
Oh,
from
okay.
the viewers.
Okay.
When did you move? They're curious to
Oh,
know.
when did you move?
And did your children help you or family members help you move?
You want to answer that?
No, you can.
We moved here on April 21st, so we're just about
It's like an anniversary.
just about 3 months, yes. And yes, our daughter helped us. She came one weekend and stayed 2 or 3 days actually, and she actually helped me pack up some of the sculptures. But there were some resources that I gained from a friend who told me that there was an agency in Mount Vernon where we live that would come and take away even large pieces of furniture. So that was a big help. But basically, I think we did it ourselves, don't you think?
Yes, but we did have the resource of our children. there were quite a few things we were able to
Oh,
unload.
yes, that we gave to them,
And
thankfully.
one of our sons had just moved into a larger house than he had before. And he was able to take some of the things we had that were appropriate for his circumstance, like a snow blower and rakes and shovels and
Mhm.
things that I didn't want to discard, but won't need anymore.
Oh, and outdoor furniture,
Yes, a lot of
patio
our
furniture.
stuff that
Yeah.
we did need to unload, and we were supported by them. Everybody, the three children all agreed that this was a good move
Yes,
for
they
us,
did.
which helped to have their encouragement. And of course, Brenda, uh, being nearby was particularly helpful and encouraging because she wanted this to happen as it did.
Mhm.
What are some of your favorite things to do at Knollwood?
Well, you know, it's remarkably comfortable here. The camaraderie, the friendship, we've had dinner quite a few times with existing residents who requested that we join them for meals. And this is a wonderful, nice way to communicate and learn who your neighbors are. So we've had quite a few wonderful meals with our co-residents. That's the first thing. I have been quite busy getting around, learning where we are and learning about the facility. I haven't been here long enough to do much in the way of combined activities, but Barbara has been even more active than I have. And we find that there are all kinds of nice activities. For example, yesterday there was a wonderful piano concert of classical music, which was a great presentation, since I particularly love classical music of this type.
Oh, and Laurie, who plays the cello.
One of our neighbors next to where we are here at Knollwood is a concert cellist, and we've heard her play, and we look forward to hearing her more frequently, and we communicate with her and her husband,
Mhm.
who is incidentally a physician, so we have some dialogue about leaving the profession. But in any event, the camaraderie is great, and we have an opportunity to eat outside on the veranda at lunch or whatever meal we so select. I think I must mention too that having a selection of meals is nice. Although we have had meals outside in restaurants, and we can we appreciate our daughter for that effort and our son-in-law, but the mealtime is quite pleasant and something we have enjoyed. The camaraderie is one of the big assets of
Absolutely.
our environment. And of course, decorating and putting things in place is a challenge.
Emptying boxes.
That always happens when you move.
Yeah.
Have you found a favorite local restaurant yet?
Actually, there's one that we already knew about. It's called The Daily Dish. It's in Chevy Chase, not far from where our daughter lives. And when we came here and had dinner with some other residents, they mentioned several restaurants, and that one was one of those mentioned. And we said, yes, we've been there, and the food's really good. But the food's good here too. I find I enjoy it. And I don't like to cook, so I'm very happy to be able to say, I have not yet turned on my oven.
Okay.
I use the microwave, of course, and the burners on the top, but we like going down to dinner, and of course the camaraderie, as Harry mentioned, it's very nice to.
I liked the oysters at Clyde's restaurant. I'm sure
Oh,
that's
yes,
a-
Clyde's is nice.
And the
you know,
miniature
Clyde's,
cars,
yes.
but
Oh, yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a fun, but we've been to a few places.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
I found a new place. Gotta try it. I don't know if it's new.
David
It's
Dish,
called,
yeah.
no, this place is called Knoll's Station. And it's technically in Kensington. It's right up Connecticut Avenue. It's about 3 or 4 miles from here. But
Mm,
they have an eclectic menu, but they have probably the best falafel I've ever had anywhere.
Oh, good.
It's moist
Lovely.
and has a little zip to it. But it's actually, it's weird. It's like a beer and wine store,
Uh-huh.
but they're also a restaurant
Oh.
and they have a little outdoor patio. So you have to
Mm,
check it
nice.
out. Yes, yes.
Mm.
So, well, you talked a little bit about what you like to do outside of Knollwood. You like to, dine out, and being new here, have you found any things that you like to do outside of Knollwood?
I don't think we've been here long enough to really say, to be able to say, but before we turned on the program, we found some new places that we will explore that you told us about. So we hope to do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of exploring available here. Yeah. So for those listening, it was the aquatic gardens,
Uh-huh.
the hidden secret of Washington DC, then the Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens. They're amazing. Yeah. Okay. Is there another question there, Elise? It looks like.
You had mentioned, there's things that you would have done differently. Now that you've lived here, are there certain things that you could advise them that they need to pay attention to first thing when they're settling in?
Oh, when they're settling in.
Yeah.
Well, the process of moving is overwhelming if you have a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
And we are using storage here because we've had to. And there are specific issues, for example, books. And in addition to the books at home, I had books from my office. So deciding what to do with books can be a problem,
Mhm.
particularly since we become attached to books and things over the many years. So we're still settling this problem of deciding what to do with some of our things, but it's happening. We're
No,
getting there.
we're dealing with it. I think the other thing, Harry, in addition to the books, we had a lot of family photographs. We brought here about 5 or 6 boxes of family photographs. Now you don't want to throw those kinds of things away. So I think probably if we had thought about it before we came, we might have had a session with other members of the family that lived near us in New York to come and maybe distribute some of those photographs. I think that's something that people can do before they come. Once you get here, it's harder because you have the boxes in storage and it's harder to get to them and they take up space and so on. But I think that's one item that you probably can deal with
That's a good tip.
best before you get here.
That's a good tip. Are there any aspects of Knollwood that you might have overlooked at first that you now appreciate?
I don't feel that I've been here long enough to know everything about Knollwood. I mean, it's an
Yes.
adventure every day. You know? No, seriously, I mean, there's a wonderful library downstairs.
Mhm.
There's a room that's called I don't know what it's called, but they have a 3D printer in there. I mean, all kinds of new things that I didn't know at first. So
Mhm.
there's more to come.
Okay, yeah. what would you want the viewers to know before they move to Knollwood?
Well, I think the move into Norwood was made simple by the fact that Norwood has experience with people moving in and out all the time. And of course, we considered our move special, but it happened with a certain amount of efficiency simply because it was something that the facility is familiar with. That's
Mhm.
actually moving things into the apartment and knowing where to put the various items we have. Plus, there was some storage opportunity here, and we could move some of the boxes that we were not going to open right away into the storage facility. That was quite good. I made a point as a physician to go and talk to the nurses here about the services that are immediately offered and to see what facilities are available here. Again, emphasizing the fact that the backup medical capability is here is comforting. And it's not a pretense, it's a real circumstance made possible by the experience of the facility. So this is comforting, and I will plan at some point to explore the hospitals that are here and to get to know some of the physicians, not just here, and there are quite a few, but I'd like to meet some of the physicians in the community. And that I'll be able to arrange through friends and my relatives who are here.
And I'd like to mention also that the moving company that we use was recommended by Knollwood.
And that worked out.
Excuse me, they had a lot of experience with moving other people into Knollwood. So they knew the facility, they knew where the rooms were, and they just were very professional about how they did the whole job.
Yeah, there was one broken glass covering a diploma. And Barbara said, gee, did that happen with the moving company? And I said, no, that was shipped by my office. So it was not the movers. They were very, very good about it. Barbara, we had some paintings. We had some valuable paintings.
And a lot of
And we had
fragile
glass
things.
covered things. And we were concerned, but the moving went remarkably well. They came and did quite a job in preparing. So that was a positive, I think. Wouldn't you say?
Definitely.
Yeah. It was an efficiency that was quite something to be pleased with.
I don't know if you reflect back, but did you meet some of the people who live here before you moved? You were doing all this during COVID. No?
No, I don't think so. We saw a couple of webinars, as I mentioned to you earlier. In fact, when we came here, I think shortly before we moved in, we were looking around at some of the work that had been done in not only the apartment we're in, but some of the others. We were walking in the hall and we ran into Diane and Paul Reason. And I said, oh, we saw you on the webinar. But no, we didn't really know anyone who lived here before we came.
That is funny. Yeah, people do recognize people from.
Yeah.
Mhm. You have another one, Elise?
Yeah, just, I guess they were just saying you consider storage then is sufficient for what you need to do with what you brought here to Knollwood.
Yes, it's sufficient, and we're trying now to figure out how we can lessen that. we're trying to get rid of at least one storage, hopefully two. It's gonna take a while, but yes, it's sufficient.
Was it intimidating coming to Knollwood from being out of state, not really knowing anyone here, only having your daughter, but she doesn't live here? Was that intimidating? And did you feel like you were able to break through maybe some of those initial anxieties quickly? Did it feel like a welcoming community to you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, from the staff down to the residents. I mean, even the first day we came, and you, of course, were the one we saw most often, Helen. But no, I didn't feel intimidated at all. Did you?
As I said, change is difficult, but
Different.
I think having a relative, having Brenda nearby was helpful. It was easier than I expected.
Good.
Mhm.
And to give up the house that we were in for many, many years, that was kind of tough because you really get attached to the place. One thing, we had a nice garden, and it was an old house, and coming here, there is the sense of tradition, and there are wonderful flowers, and we're close to a park, and I think this is, it was even more rewarding than I thought it would be. And I think the Rock Creek Park is to me, is an amazing park to have. Central Park is not quite the same.
Mhm.
And we don't live in the city, close to them. We did live in the suburbs, but this is a beautiful, warm, friendly setting.
DC has some of the advantages of New York, but on a little intimate scale.
Yes.
You know, I think it's a little bit easier to get around.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know.
Yes, it's smaller and more comfortable to travel around. I mean, particularly this area of Washington is quite nice, quite beautiful.
A lot of people don't realize how neighborhoody that it is at Knollwood.
Mhm.
It's not businesses, it's houses, and it's not
Yeah.
high rises, it's
Right.
houses and,
Yes,
or the
yes,
park.
Yes.
The park is everywhere.
I mean, we plan, and I say we because Barbara's agreed to go with me to take walks in the park.
Mhm.
The raspberries, I think, might be ripe right now.
There you
Oh.
go. Little treat, little hiking treat.
Yep, and they're kind of all over this year.
Really?
So take something with you. Take
Okay,
a
like a
couple
little
of
basket or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, a little Tupperware.
Yeah.
Can your family visit you at Knollwood right now with the whole COVID
Oh,
thing?
yeah, that's a good question.
Yes, yes, they were here. Some of the family was here yesterday. Our little great granddaughter ran up and down the hall downstairs. No, they think the apartment is beautiful. They love the setting, and they were very comfortable here. And some of the other residents spoke with them. So everyone has really been so welcoming. I can't stress that enough, right from the beginning. So, right? Don't you think so, Harry?
Yes.
Yeah, there were restrictions on COVID here in the very beginning for a few weeks.
Right, we heard about that.
But but I think those were everywhere. And all of Knollwood has been vaccinated since January.
Yeah.
So when you came down, you got your vaccines here. You got yours in New
Actually,
York, and you got yours here.
I
right?
got both of my shots right here at Knollwood.
Even before you
because-
lived here.
Yes, way before we moved in, because Helen called and said that she made an appointment for me to come down and get a shot. I said, I'll be there. And the second shot happened the same way. Harry got his, of course, at the hospital.
Yeah,
He had- he
his
got his
connections,
before.
right?
He had to get his before I got mine, because in the hospital, of course,
Mhm.
they had to vaccinate everybody right away.
So, yeah, so we have, we're still cautious at Knollwood, but Knollwood has, I believe, all but 2 residents vaccinated
Mhm.
and all but 9 staff vaccinated. So the residents are probably 99%. And the staff, we're now over 95% with staff, and even contractors who come in and do renovation work, or instructors that teach classes, or people that perform, they're vaccinated as well. So
Mhm.
we kind of have our own little vaccinated world
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
But yeah, but visiting people come, people go. It's your
Mhm.
house. It's not a prison,
Right.
so.
Mhm.
There any more questions?
No?
Do you two want to add anything, knowing that people
Hmm.
considering Knollwood are watching? It could be sometimes people that are on the waiting list are watching, and sometimes it's people who are in the very beginning of looking.
Mhm.
So it's a wide assortment of audience watching.
Mhm.
Or anything you want to stress? Maybe Harry, you can talk about what we talked about yesterday with coming to the realization of it's better to do this kind of when you can,
Oh,
right?
that's a good idea.
Yes, I think it, looking at the phases of life, this is for Barbara and me, this is a phase in our life, and uh, when it's possible to make a move and still enjoy being ambulatory and being able to explore Washington DC and all that it has to offer, and also to enjoy the facility as it is now. A good time to make a move like this. I was not as willing as Barbara was to make the move. I could delay it. Now, we did leave 2 sons back in New York, but they are both in communication with us and encouraged us to make this move. Because in our phase, it's a good time to actually do it. So I very much appreciate my very kind wife. I don't think I could find anything to really complain about, and that's something, most of us look for shortcomings and limitations and that kind of thing, and it hasn't been our experience with this particular move. It has worked out very nicely. We've given up our house, we sold it, we gave up a car too. Barbara had a nice little car, and
You
she
don't want to
just,
bring it?
she's.
No,
she-
I sold it.
I thought she would want to hold on to that car because it was hers and she loved it, and it was a very nice little sports car.
No,
But
but I don't have,
Barbara
have
said,
trouble.
no, I'm gonna sell it. and it's
I don't
gone."
have trouble giving things away if I know that that's the best thing to do. But I do have to say this, I think to make a move like this is better made before it's too late. When I say that, before you get so infirm that it makes it almost impossible. I think had we thought about it many years ago, we might have made this move, 10, 15 years ago. It would have been easier to move, and we would have been able to enjoy the things that we're enjoying and will enjoy, even more so because we were younger, more able to get around. You get the gist of what I'm trying to say. So I would advise people not to wait until they have to move. Do it when you're ready, when you want to move and can enjoy the move itself and whatever else there is to come.
And there are people who think that the move is when you start declining,
Yeah,
and it's not,
no, it's not.
because you might not even be eligible.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there are actual issues. For example, stairways. The threat of a fall without the attendant attention. Stairways become more difficult as the years go by.
Mhm.
Preparing meals and attending to household cleanliness, housekeeping. There are things that become more difficult as the years go by, and Barbara's right, it's better to face them and make decisions about the future as early as you possibly can.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned, I find that it's remarkably comfortable being here. And I'm looking forward to exploring the city
Mhm.
and looking around and seeing some of the other places there are, as well as our own nice environment here.
Thank you both for being here. I give a quick shout out to people watching. If you have a last minute question, key them right now. Otherwise, we're gonna go on with our day and say goodbye to everybody. So, we do have our next webinar coming up is in August, and I don't remember the date, but it can be found on the Knollwood website, which is knollwoodcommunity.org. So you can just look it up there. And I believe it's about the state of real estate, and we'll have a local Kara Epstein, and she'll be talking more about the local market because that's where her area of expertise is. But I know that she probably also has somewhat of a pulse on some things national, just because she's going to be dealing with people from other areas as well. So thank you all for coming. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you too for